Namaste. This is India Slideshow Part 8. We're going to try to start wrapping things up. We had just left Jaipur and we took a flight back to the Delhi airport. So we started in New Delhi. Well, we started at the Delhi airport, and then our first few evenings we were in New Delhi. Then we went to Varanasi, which were the cremation sites. Then we went up to Jaipur and stayed at what I think was our favorite place to stay. And you can watch the last video for some really cool pictures of that. And then we got on a flight from Jaipur back to Delhi. And this time we got a driver, an Uber driver, to take us to the place that we were staying. And this particular place was in Old Delhi. And so I'm going to show you some pictures of this place. Now, I was admittedly a bit, I hope the word isn't manipulative, but maybe diplomatic, I guess I'm not sure. But when I had booked this trip, I knew that Mercy was not entirely excited about this trip. And so I thought, well, the last place that we stay in India, I'm going to make sure is really nice. So we spent a few extra rupees on this place, and when we got to our room, it was absolutely beautiful. It was 11-foot ceilings. This image right here is looking from the bedroom into the living area where you entered. And so you walked into this large room with wood floors. It had this seating area, you can see, with the couch and the two chairs. And it was not complicated in terms of how it was decorated. There was kind of a simple elegance to it. I had told Mercy I would have liked to have seen more, art on the wall or something like that, but it really was a beautiful room. And so I'm going to show you some images here of this room, and just simple decoration, really cool painting. I don't remember if it was a painting, but I mean art piece that had all of the Indian gods and a lot of the Indian teachers on it. It's kind of like a collage. And I think I've got some pictures. And here's the door into the room. So we walked in, and this is what we were greeted with. 11-foot ceilings, these really cool light fixtures, this artwork on the wall. And then you walked back into the bedroom area. There was a little desk right there that I did one of the podcasts from. One of the shows were done right at that desk. Then here's the bedroom area. Now, at this place, I was a little smarter. I took pictures of the room before we had messed everything up. But we got our own slippers. We got our own bathrobes. Had our own TV that got no channels. We had a walk-in closet. So there we are. There's the jacket that I bought, the Indian jacket. I call it the Beatles jacket. Just really nice room. And then here's the bathroom. So we had a shower that worked every single day, and the water was clear. We had a restroom, so there's the stool right there. And then, yeah, and then we had a really nice tub that you could soak in. So really, really nice place to stay. So I think Mercy had earned it putting up with all of the other places that I booked, most of which were very, very nice. Just the one was a little bit scary that I talked about in the last video. So this was a really nice place to stay. I'm going to go through some pictures here. Here's the sitting area. You can see I reverted back to wearing the old shirt that I brought from the States because that was the only one that fit. Because in India, if you didn't miss that episode, in India, I am a 4X. I'm an XXXX, and even that was not comfortable. I had trouble buttoning it. But here's Mercy. This is on the main floor. Our place was, I think, 3 stories above. And here's Mercy next to these flowers, which are all real. Those are real flowers. And so you just walked into this area, and you could smell the flowers, these orchids. And so we got a picture of Mercy by the orchids. Back to the right was this cool restaurant that we would eat at. Here's Mercy with the orchids. Just some cool art on the wall. I don't know if this was the place where we stayed, but I thought it was kind of a cool picture. They had these balconies, so you can see out on the balcony. Little seating areas. So this one didn't have like a courtyard necessarily like the other places. It kind of did out front, but it wasn't completely surrounded. It was more of a garden area out in front. But I had all of these sitting areas. So this is looking down at the flowers, so this large chandelier. This is rather interesting. The drinking age in India is 25. And developmentally, this is what I teach my students. I didn't realize the drinking age was this, but developmentally, that makes sense. So if you are an individual who is 25 years or younger, you should not use alcohol because developmentally your brain is not ready to, have a certain level of discipline over that. Not that if you're an 18-year-old and you've drank already, you're automatically going to have a problem with it. But what's interesting in the United States is, of course, we have the tobacco and the alcohol industry that really would love to have their product available for 18-year-olds. Nobody's going to make an argument that it should go to 16 or 15-year-olds, even though a lot of the tobacco advertising and the alcohol advertising has been shown to target that age group, which I think is really quite sad. But the tobacco and the alcohol industry want the age to be 18, and doctors in America, so the American Medical Association, they would say, similar to India, they would say, we really need to wait until 24, 25 years old before people start using alcohol, because that way developmentally their brain has been formed and it's just safer. And of course, our government compromised. And so you had the American Medical Association say, no, it should be 24, 25 years old. You had the tobacco and the alcohol I just drew a blank on the thing, but the lobby say, oh, we really want it to be 18. And so the government made a compromise. And that's why our drinking age is 21. And I believe tobacco products now, I believe in this country, you have to be 21 to purchase. So Mercy and I, we decided to try the subway. And so this is the phone of the gentleman at the front desk that showed us, because we were going to go out front of the hotel. We were just going to walk down a couple of stations and we were going to figure out how to ride the subway. And I really wish we would have discovered this sooner, because it's very cool. It's very efficient. It is so much less stressful than taking an Uber. So we walked down the road a little bit and we found the station where we walked down the stairs to get to the subway. And so here we are. I actually, now this picture here, the only reason for this picture is whenever I go places, I take pictures of where I've been, because then I can backtrack easily. So that's just more of a marker, so that when we come back to the hotel, we'll be like, oh yeah, we know we're going in the right direction. So here's the stairs going down to the subway. So this is our first view of the subway area. And so we learned how to buy tickets. We paid in rupees. We learned how to use the maps. And we just kind of figured it out. We had felt safe enough in India at this point that we didn't feel, threatened to, that if we got it off at the wrong place, we might be in, some bad part of town or whatever. We just felt comfortable. So here's I made Mercy I made Mercy stand by this little statue. This is the 3-foot thing, so it's a statue of a little girl. Papa, I am more than 3 feet. Please buy my ticket. And so I jokingly said, Mercy, you need to stand by there. Stand by that because you're short. So she was a good sport and let me have my fun. So, and then here is the train in the station. And I have a video. These trains were incredibly long. It was quite shocking how long the trains were. And when we, and here's just a map of all the stops, but yeah, at one of the stops I was able to get a good video of the train coming in to show how long these trains actually were. There were cars dedicated to women only. various parts of, well, pretty much everywhere, there was always a line to get a ticket. Here, for example, there were cars that were only for women. So they really had this well laid out for women who wanted to only be around other women. And even when we went through like metal detectors to have our bags checked when we were in a different part of town and they had to, make sure everybody was safe, typically there was a female line and the women would get in one line and they would go through the metal detector and then they would go into this curtained off area where they would be patted down. And for the men, it was just done in the open. Same thing at airports. Same thing at all the airports that we flew out of. There was a line for the women, and then when they had to be patted down, because everybody got patted down, Mercy would go into this small room which had curtains. She would be patted down, and then she would go through. And eventually, we figured out how to work that. So she would go through first, so that she could make eye contact and see that I was where I was supposed to be, and then I would go through. It was just a way that we kept track of each other, and we were able to keep our eyes on our bags, just to kind of be safe. So let's see. I'll see if I can find one of the videos of the train coming in. This might be a good one right here. I think there it is. They had advertised Squid Games was the thing being advertised by Netflix on the side of these trains. And yeah, and I mean we would get in. There was a certain flow, even in the chaos, where you knew to stand on the edge of the door, so people coming out they would be kind of in the middle, and then people on the edge would slowly. And it would be just this one movement until the doors closed. And so we learned how to do that. So here's looking down the car, and you can see how long this is. I have this interesting video where you can kind of see the back. When you go around a curve, you can see the back of the train kind of shift because you can see all the way down. Up there, I got myself in a picture. So that's how crowded it was. There's Burger King. So Burger King has the crispy chicken and the crispy veg. We also saw some McDonald's where they have a vegetarian version of the Big Mac, and they had the curry cheeseburger. It was really, we did not try any of it, but it's just kind of fun especially for Mercy to see. So here we are going into, now this is going into, and I'm drawing a blank on the name because I don't have notes and I'm just kind of talking through these. But this is going into one of the main markets in Old Delhi. This is the big market that people want to go to. And so I'm a little bit embarrassed that I'm not remembering it, but hopefully we'll see a sign and I can use the name. Otherwise, again, just ask, and then I can do the research on the backside and leave it in the comment section. But here we are going through, just kind of walking through, going to this large market. There was a park area on the right where people were just sleeping and relaxing. There was space there. It was really nice. And when you walked in here, there were a lot of temples. So here is a temple. I think this is the temple of Shiva. So we did take the time to visit some temples. That was the main reason I was there, is I wanted to experience a lot of the Hindu culture. So here's a little area for Ganesh. Chandi Chowk was the name of this market, Chandi Chowk. So here's the main area, right, or one of the main paths, thoroughfares. I'm not sure even what the term is, but alleyways. You might even maybe it's that. And Chandni Chowk is where a lot of, Indian people, they actively shop for them. I mean, this is where they go to market. And there was some sites when I was researching this that really encouraged tourists and travelers to just stay away and kind of let this area function. But I really wanted to see it, so I hope I was respectful. But here's a food vendor. This right here is this large. It's heated. There's a flame under here, but this is a large pan of beans. Kind of. It looked like white beans. I don't know if they were white beans, but that's kind of what it looked like. Here is, oh, and this gentleman had been featured in a newspaper article. So I thought, I'm going to take a picture of this individual with his major award that he got he got noticed in this newspaper for his food. Very cool temple right here with the horses on the top. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 horses. That's interesting. Sometimes horses and symbols come in threes. It's yeah. It's interesting if there's any connection to the Christian book of Revelation with some of the horses. Often I think of that particular book, like the Four Horsemen. So we did take some time to take a lot of photos at this particular temple area. So lots of elephants rung bells, and this is a place that I did ring the bell and go in with my bigger camera and took a lot of pictures in the temple area. I had made a friend who was willing to take me in there and allow me to take some photos. So here we are walking down the path. This is the type of path that you would walk down. So we would go from busy streets and all of a sudden walk down this path with busted up concrete. Sometimes it was blackout and there would be dogs. And then you all of a sudden like got to the end of the path and that's where you would come out and it's like, there's the place you were going to stay. So this is a very typical pathway that sometimes you take from the very chaotic areas in India. You go down these beat up paths, and then you come out, and all of a sudden, like you're at this peaceful little place. These are all motorcycles, so this gives you an idea of, and I'm going to say that this is like an employee parking lot. So this is, I think, where probably all the vendors park their bikes for their day's work. Not uncommon to see men and sometimes women carrying around these huge packs right on their heads, just walking around with things. These are all, I forget if they were jackets or pants, but these are all clothing articles that they're going to be taken somewhere, obviously, and sold. Lots of these little nooks and crannies. You just kind of look back and all of a sudden, oh, there's somebody back there making these pastries and selling street food. Here's a tandoori oven. And again, really interesting. You have all of this chaos and all of these beat up roads, and all of a sudden Mercy and I come upon this. And this is a ginormous mall. It's not as big as the mall with the big 5 blue towers and the 500 stores that I had pictures of, but this is a really nice mall with, I mean, really higher end stores. And initially we were not going to go in, but we did make the decision to go in. So here is a Starbucks. There you go. I now know how to read Hindi or Sanskrit. I guess I don't know what the written language is, but I can clearly see that now because I'm apparently bilingual, that definitely says Starbucks. And I think that says coffee shop. I have no idea, but I'm sure it says Starbucks. Merry Christmas. So these are poinsettias. They're not real. They're plastic. But it was kind of a cool thing to take a picture with. So there is Mercy posing. And once again, this is one of those places where this groups of people came up, and this one group of people came up, and they held out their camera to me, and I tried to reach for it, and they did not want me to take their picture. They wanted me to join them for a picture, because I think with the glasses and the earrings and the beard and how I was dressed, it was, I don't know. I just felt like a rock star. It's funny because I joke when Mercy and I go out in the area we live, so many people know her from being a manager at McDonald's that we always get I mean, people just love her in our community. And I always say to her, I'm trying so hard to be a rock star, just kind of jokingly. And it's like, you're already doing it. Well, I got to get my picture taken in India because of my earrings, glasses, my blonde hair or brown hair, which is really gray hair at this point. Here's a mosque right here. So again, in this area, there are either temples or mosques. And in this area, you have to ask. Like when I started conversations with people, I would say, "Are you Hindu or are you Muslim?" So that I would have some sort of a reference point to what questions I wanted to ask them, and what they wanted to show us. So we got some. I think those are like purple yams. We got star fruit, which you can get in the States here now. You couldn't many years ago. We just started seeing them, probably maybe 20, 30 years ago. Here's a gentleman selling. I have no idea what it is. It looked like something dairy, uh, like maybe some sort of a, I don't know if it was a dessert or a rice thing, but he would scoop out of it. He would just scoop it. You can see it's kind of like hot ice cream. Maybe it says was or not ice cream, but this hot cream that has been that's hard. So it's kind of served up like a maybe a pudding, kind of like a pudding. Here's a clothier, and I found these little children's mannequins, and um, I took pictures of them because I thought this would really inspire a good horror story. Like they were kind of scary. So look at all the wires and all the rickshaws that you can take. So this is really in the heart of this Indian market, Chandi Chowk. I think this was some sort of a government building. I'm not sure. This is a gentleman that we did decide to ask to show us around. So he's showing us how there's different temples at each end of this path. Um, not temples, I should clarify, mosques. Just the busyness. And then we finally did make it to the spice market. And I don't know if you can hear, Shadow is snoring. He's like sawing logs behind me, so you can probably hear Shadow snoring. But we finally made it to the spice markets. But right before the spice markets were these markets that sold raisins, nuts, roots. And remember what I said that for whatever reason this is organized around the customer. And when there's more need for something, another vendor kind of moves in. I never figured out whether it was the government that said, "Hey, we need this or whatever." Or here's I don't quite know how that works, but it was pretty clear that in this particular area there were probably uh, I'm totally estimating here, but probably right in this area, you could go to 30 or 40 different vendors or little shop owners that sold nuts, raisins, things like that. And so we're not quite in the spice market yet, but we will get there. So here's the main road. You can see how this stuff comes in and just goes on the head, goes on, and they carry it through town, and then they divide it up. There is one spot where we do go into some of the back alleys, and we stumbled upon red chilies, and that was the thing in this entire area. We didn't last long because our sinuses and our eyes were burning and getting the best of it. So we were both kind of uncomfortable. It's like, okay, we need to get out of here. But that'll be coming up in a minute. But this is a really cool picture. I mean, I really like. I wish I would have taken more pictures, landscape, because this you can really see all of the details. This one I might have to have this one printed. So here we start getting into the spice market. So here's the spices. So you've got some, probably some cumin there. You've got a lot of red pepper, maybe coriander. I'm not positive about that. And then we went upstairs and we saw kind of, you could call it like the distribution center for red peppers. For whatever reason, in this particular area, there were a dozen, 2 dozen shopkeepers, and all they were doing was organizing these dried chili peppers. And so there were bags and bags of these chili peppers. There's a great picture right there to give you an appreciation of how many chili peppers there were. So multiply this by 10, 12 little shops. And then people would, it was kind of like the distribution center. Somehow it would make it down and then it would be, displayed. But it was interesting that it was all in one area. So more chilies. I'm drawing a blank on what turmeric. I see the name right there. I'm not positive though. And Himalayan salt. Here are some chunks. So you got black Himalayan salt. You got pink Himalayan salt. If you go to my cupboard right now in the kitchen, Mercy and I have a pink Himalayan salt grinder. So really good salt that you could buy in these large chunks. These are about the size of a tennis ball or a baseball. These large white chunks, I would say, are closer to maybe a soccer ball. So this is Himalayan salt from the Himalayas. These are, now I'm not sure how these are processed, but these are, oh gosh, not pimento. That's not the right word. Well, I'll think of it. It's the fruit that has the seeds with like the gel around it. Pomegranate. There we go. These are pomegranate seeds. So it's almost like they scooped out the pomegranate seeds and then dried them a little bit. So these are like balls of pomegranate seed. I don't remember what these are. Bay leaves. You can see the bay leaves. You can see, I believe those are rose petals. So sometimes a lot of these are like petals of different flowers. There's a lot of fungus that you can purchase, like mushroom. So some of that is what you're seeing. So this is a type of fungus, I believe. Maybe not rose petal. I guess I don't know what kinds of petals those are, but they are flower petals. And looking in the alleyway, you can see some spices to the right in those bags. You can see the carts where the vendors carry stuff. You can see there's a group of individuals back here carrying crates of these spices on their heads and bags. There were always dogs, always places where the dogs just kind of rolled up and decided, I think I'm going to take a nap here. Kind of like Shadow behind me. This is a type of root. And then all of a sudden there would be a store like this. So in between, this is just kind of like a health and beauty aid store. So you've got some dish detergent, you've got some, looks like some Drano, you've got some sponges, kitchen cleaning stuff. And here is a sign that I saw, which I thought was kind of funny. I saw this sexologist. So this is Dr. Vikram Sablok. And my initial thought was, oh, it must be a gynecologist. This is where women go for their gynecological needs. And I said, is that a gynecologist? Is that for women? And he said, nope, that's for men. He said a lot of men in India need help. And so they actually have doctors that advertise like this. So here is if you need help and you're a male and you're in Old Delhi and you need to have a sexologist, well, here you go. I'm not going to recommend Dr. Vikram. So cows on the street, I really liked this. So here's several gentlemen, and in front of them they have paint cans, paint rollers, and paint brushes, and so they are waiting to be hired to. And I really had to think about this, but I'm pretty sure they've been hired to paint. So this is kind of how they're advertising. So these are painters wanting to be hired, and they have their own equipment. More cool doors. I'm fascinated with doors. This is a little alleyway that Mercy and I went down. Our guide that we had hired was taking us to another shop because I wanted to buy another shirt and another jacket and maybe even find something that fit. So just a really cool door, just with this gold copper colored metal. So here is Mercy and I in the door. And here I am trying on some clothes. And so let's pick up here next time because I'm going on 31 minutes. And I think there's probably going to be one more episode of this. Then I think we're going to finish our slide. So here I am purchasing some clothes, very sensitive to the idea of cultural appropriation. So not something I'm going to be wearing around my hometown or, to go grocery shopping in. But I was really excited to have some authentic Indian clothes. So, all right, that's it. So namaste. And next one will be India Slideshow Part 9, and something tells me that that might be the last part for us, which is good because I'm excited to get back into Jack Colley's Black Book. All right, namaste, my friends.